Flip to Freedom, episode number 53. Hello again, this is Sean Terry from the Flip to Freedom podcast, and we are on episode number 53. And today I'm actually coming to you from the beach. Today is a beach cast I'm doing today, and holy cow, it's a beautiful day. There's not a cloud in the sky here in Southern California. I'm actually out at my beach house here. They have a private beach here where I live in Dana Point, California. And you actually can all see all the way to Catalina Island right now. The sun is just glistening off the ocean. The water is crystal clear blue, and it's just an awesome day. So I thought I'd come down here and walk along the beach and record a podcast episode from the beach. So apologize for the sound quality, but I'm just telling you, it's just a beautiful day. It's Wednesday afternoon here, and I'm not at work, and that's what this podcast is all about, man. It's about helping you escape the 9 to 5, get out of the rat race, quit your job, be done with corporate America, and live the life of freedom. To go out and do what you want to do when you want to do it on your terms. Now, like I said, if you're listening for the first time, you're going to learn how to do this. You're going to learn how to escape the 9 to 5 by flipping properties in your spare time. Now, what is flipping properties? Flipping properties is quick turning real estate, meaning that you don't have to have any cash or any credit, and you quick turn real estate. That means you get a property under contract for one price, and you sell it quickly for a higher price. Now, that property could be a distressed property, someone that inherited a property, it could be someone that searched online and found your website through Google or whatever. It could be someone, just a motivated seller, just wants to get out of a house or whatever it might be. But the beautiful thing about it is that you can actually do a contract with them. That's a motivated seller. You can do a simple 1 or 2 or 3 page contract for a certain price. You sign a contract. You don't close on it. You don't fund it. You don't need capital. Most of the time, you don't even need earnest money. And you can literally sign a contract. Let's say you sign it for $50,000. Well, then you can turn, and now you're going to have 30 days in your contract to actually close the transaction. You're going to have all these out clauses just in case you can't sell it. Then within those 30 days, you're going to line up a buyer. It could be a cash buyer, it could be a retail buyer, it could be a cash flow buyer, whatever it might be. And in this podcast, I'll show you exactly how to do that. But then you find a buyer for a higher price. Let's call it $60,000. Well, guess what? You sign a contract with him. He agrees to buy it quickly. You bring him to a closing agent, title company, escrow company, whatever it may be, and instruct them to close the property, close the deal on either an assignment or a double escrow. And the difference is yours. You contract with a seller for $50,000, contract with a buyer for $60,000. The $10,000 goes to you. That's how it works. You don't have to fund anything. You don't have to raise any capital. And guess what? You can do this 1 time a month. You can do this 3 times a month. And I'm telling you, if you do this 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times a month, man, you are living large, big time large. There are months where I've made over $100,000 in a single 30-day period by doing this, flipping properties. And it's just by doing exactly what I talked about, finding a seller, matching him with a buyer, and making the difference in between. Now, in this particular episode, we are going to talk about how to go out and make your first check. How to go out from zero to $10,000. How to go from where you are. Maybe you have not made a dime in real estate. Maybe you don't know anything about real estate. Maybe you're struggling to try to get your first check and figuring out how this whole thing works. Because I tell you, once you get your first check, it's over. It's over. It's literally your whole physiology changes, I guess, because now you know it works. Once you know it works, that's half the battle, because then it just becomes doing it over and over and over and over again and scaling it in a large way. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about going out from knowing nothing. Now, I'm pretty much going to say, listen, if you're going to put me in any city, knowing what I know now, what would I do? What would be the first thing I do if I was going to walk into a city? I had no buyers list, I had no buyers, I had no contacts, I had no connections, I had nothing. How would I go out and make a check in the first 30 days? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this particular episode. Now, I recently did a survey to my subscriber list and asked them what would be the biggest thing they would like to learn about, and it was amazing because a lot of it is basic stuff, very, very simple stuff when it comes to marketing for sellers and marketing for buyers, and had to basically put this whole thing together because this is the deal. Once you understand the marketing for buyers and marketing for sellers, this business is easy. Now, for me, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I'm just an average, everyday guy. I don't have a college education. I spent 4 years in the United States Marine Corps, and I'm not the smartest tool in the tool chest. I tell you that right now. But the only difference between someone successful, someone that makes it big in this business, and someone who doesn't is marketing. That's it. The more calls you get from motivated sellers, the more success you're going to have. So then it becomes down, it doesn't matter what your background is, doesn't matter what your education is, doesn't matter what your family tree is, doesn't matter if you came from a golden spoon or not. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is you can turn around and you can scale this thing from your first check. You take a percentage of the profits, you put it back into marketing, and then you go out and you do more marketing, and it increases from there. And you get more and more success because you do more and more marketing. Where I see people fail is that they don't do enough marketing, or they do some marketing and it's not enough, and that learning curve of taking the calls and talking to sellers and figuring out what you're looking for, they just give up, and that's not it. In anything in life when it comes to success, whether you want to become a great baseball player, you want to be like Tiger Woods and become a great golfer, it takes effort. Guess what? You're going to shank the ball a couple times. It's just part of life. It's part of the business. You're going to just blow a complete deal. You're going to blow it. We're going to be talking to a seller online, and you're going to blow it. It's going to be terrible. You're just going to just blow that, and you're going to get off and go, man, I'm an idiot, man. I can't do this. Hey, that's just part of it. Just deal with it and know it's going to happen, and just move on. No one's grading you on how fast or how slow you do this thing. The bottom line is you'll just learn the process in your confidence, and you'll get better and better and better on each step. So that's what we're going to talk about in this particular episode. Now, for me, when I got started, man, I had no cash. My credit sucked, and I was working a dead-end job I completely hated. And literally, it was just something that was, just absolutely just beat my head against the wall. Completely sick of the rat race. Just sick of living month to month, for one, working for an unappreciative boss, and just having to work ridiculous amount of hours. See, I was the guy that, man, if I got a job, I wanted to impress the boss. I wanted to do more. I wanted to be more. I wanted to excel. But no matter what I did, no matter how hard I did it, never got any recognition at all. Nothing. And no matter how hard I worked, guess what? My pay stayed the same, it seemed like, and never could actually feel like I was getting ahead. I was like a glass ceiling. And it gets old after a while, and you kind of lose your motivation. Then it just becomes this mundane thing that you do just to pay the bills. Well, that's no way to live. Imagine if you could literally be flipping properties, and make anywhere from $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month doing this business. And I know maybe $100,000 a month might not be fathomable to you right now, but hey, guess what? If you could make, say $5,000 to $10,000 a month flipping a couple houses, what would that do to your lifestyle? Would you be able to take those vacations that you want to take? Maybe come out to the beach when you want to come out to the beach. Maybe, set up for retirement early, maybe, and be done. Maybe send your kids to college. I don't know. Maybe get your kids braces. I don't know. But whatever it may be, whatever your dream is, this is possible in this business. Now, I can tell you this, that I when it comes to flipping properties, that's the first step. Okay, let me give you my progression of this business, because flipping properties is something you do. It's energy you put out there. It's going out, and it's literally, you're doing it every month. You're finding buyers. You're finding sellers. You're matching them up with buyers. You're making the spread in between. You find sellers. You match them with buyers. You make the spread in between. So, and you can do that, and you can make a ton of money doing it. That's step one. Well, actually, step one is this. Step one's going out from going where you are and getting your first check. That's step one. Step two is then replacing your income, quitting your job, getting 1 year's worth of income in the bank. Now, think about this. If you can get 1 year's, whatever you make in the bank, 50,000, 100,000, whatever it is in the bank as fast as humanly possible, then you would have the option to quit your job. Now think about it. You would have confidence in this business, wouldn't you? Because you went out and flipped. You went out and generated that income from flipping properties. So you'd have confidence in the business, you had cash in the bank, so you would have the option, the opportunity, if you wanted to quit your job or not. That's step 2. Step 1 is getting your first check. Step 2 is replacing your income. Step 3 is building cash flow. Now what's cash flow? Cash flow is where you're going out, you're finding properties, cash flow properties. It could be a single unit, just a single family house producing $300, $400, $500 a month cash flow. You could find a 4-unit apartment complex. It could be a 12-unit apartment complex. You know, that's where you're building cash flow. Now, think about this now. You went out and got your first check. Boom, you accomplished that. You went out and replaced your income. Boom, you accomplished that. Then you went out and now you have 20 cash flow properties, all producing $500 a month of income, whether you wake out of bed or not. And now you're making $10,000 a month, whether you do nothing. Now, people go, well, I got to have security. Well, security is cash in the bank. Security is a cash flowing asset. Security is not a job. You know that as well as I do. Security is not, a paycheck. Because guess what? That can go away tomorrow. Just read a statistic that they're going to be laying off another, who knows, I think it was like another 320,000 people this month alone. That means someone, maybe you listening, is going to get a pink slip basically saying you're done. So let me ask you this. If you did get that pink slip today, what would you do? How much money would you have stashed to live on? And what would you do? Go find another job? No. You know, it says that the average American changes jobs every 3.2 years. I was always taught to go out and get a great college education, get a great education, right? And then go out and then turn around and get a good job. And then work your way till you're 65, get a gold watch, and retire happy. Well, guess what? If you change jobs every 3.2 years, how the heck is that supposed to work? See, I blew it on the first thing because I sucked in school. I did terrible in school. You know, I was good when it came to sports. I played good football, and boy, did I play good baseball. But when it came, played hockey too. But you know what? When it came to actually getting the grades, I sucked. So when it came to, going out to applying, all my buddies were going to Ivy League schools. I'm from Vermont originally. And, wow, these waves are just unbelievable today. But anyways, all my buddies were going to Ivy League schools, and guess what? I didn't have any Ivy League schools or offer me anything. So I went out and I joined the Marine Corps. Why? They had cool outfits. I don't know. That's it. Pretty much it. I didn't know what I was getting into, so I joined the Marine Corps, and I was off. And that was my quest. But man, when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was looking for something to do, and I just got back in the grind of working a job, and I just got sick of it. So, all right, so now let's get into exactly what this podcast is about today. Going from you. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about you going out from zero, not making a dime, not having any knowledge about real estate, nothing. Okay, and going out and going from where you are, right, to going out and let's say not making a dime ever in real estate, and going out and making your first, say, $10,000 or first check. You call it 10,000, whatever. That's what we can talk about. And so let's get into it. First off, is this? Let's kind of define quick turn real estate. What is flipping properties? What is quick turning real estate? Well, quick turning real estate is where you contract. And what does contract mean? Contract means literally sign a contract, sign a piece of paper. And it could be a residential purchase contract. You can get one from your local realtor. You can, and don't worry about trying to fill it out and any of that right now. Just look it over. Just get a simple contract from your local realtor. Just Google residential real estate contract. Actually, my first contract I ever got, I got it from Staples. I went to Office Max to Staples. I went to Staples and I bought a 2-page contract. I didn't know what the heck it was. I didn't know how to fill it out. I just did it, right? So get a contract. And that's what that contract is going to give you equity interest in the property, okay? And let's say you have a seller, and we're going to talk about getting in and finding sellers and stuff like that. But right now we're just defining quick turning real estate. Now in this particular contract, what you're going to do is you are going to contract it for a price. Let's call that price $50,000. Okay? You're going to put a closing date. Let's say that closing date is 30 days from executed contract. So 30 days, 45 days, whatever. So now what do you have? You have a piece of paper signed with a motivated seller for $50,000 with a 30-day closing. That's it. That's all you got. Right? Now let's say the house is worth, say, $100,000. So you got a house that's at a discount. Right? Now, it doesn't matter if it has equity. It doesn't matter if it has no equity. If it's structured correctly, you can make money irregardless of how much equity it has. The only thing that you can't really make money on, or you can, but I just don't advocate it, is properties that are upside down, short sale deals. I don't do short sale deals. I don't like doing short sale deals, but it's for another day. But properties that literally have no equity to a lot of equity, you can make money on. Okay, so what do? You have a signed piece of paper, $50,000 with a motivated seller. Okay, then we find a buyer for, say, $60,000, and we'll get into exactly how to find buyers. Okay, so don't worry about that. So what do you sign with them? The same contract. It could be the same contract. What I did is I signed the same contract that I got from Staples. The only difference is that I was the seller. I found the buyer. Okay? So I was the seller in the contract. He was the buyer, but it was at a higher price. Say $60,000. So what you do now is you have two contracts. You have a buyer for $60,000 and you have a contract with a seller for $50,000. What's the difference? $10,000, right? So what you do is you bring it to a closing agent, which is an escrow company, a title company, whatever it may be. And what you do is you instruct them to do a couple different things. You can instruct them to do what's called an assignment. And an assignment is a simple one-page document, and it gives you, basically you sell your contract between you and the seller for a price. It's almost like a sales agreement. Like if you're going to go sell a car, it's like a bill of sale. You sell your car. That's all it is, assignment agreement. I agree to assign this contract for the sum of $10,000 to X buyer. Right? And now what the buyer's going to do is he's going to have to close within those terms of that contract, within that 30 days. So then that is you literally just do an assignment. That is one way that you can get paid. You can get paid in this business. Okay? Now or the other thing you can do is what's called a double escrow. A double escrow is where it's a back-to-back close. And that is, don't worry about being sophisticated or exactly how it's going to work or the technicalities. Don't worry about that right now. That is your closing agent. That is their job to basically facilitate a double escrow. And here's the basic premise behind it: is that the buyer will wire in $60,000, of which $10,000 go with you. Right? That's escrow 1. And then escrow 2, the money will flow through to escrow 2, and the $50,000 will go to the seller. What happens is that it's a simultaneous close. It's a back-to-back close. That means there's two closings, there's two escrows, but it's done instantaneously. Whereas the assignment, there's one closing. You're literally just selling your position in the contract there. So, which one do you do? Which one? Strategically, it depends. For me, if it's $10,000 or less, I'll do an assignment. If it's $10,000 or more in profit, then I'll do a double escrow. And there's reasons for that. And I'm not going to get into the exact reasons why. We're going to basically talk about the nitty-gritty here today of exactly how to flip properties. So that's the general concept of flipping property. That's how you can get paid. You can do it as many times as you want. There's no limit. You can do 50 properties a month if you want. I know guys that are doing 10 and 20 and 30 and 50 deals a month. And that's the basic deal. It becomes of finding buyers and finding sellers. So now let's get into how you would go out as fast as humanly possible to go out and get your first check. Or what I would do if I was going to be dropped off in your market. Okay, first thing I'd do is this. If I was going to get dropped off, boom, I just arrive in Seattle, Washington, or I arrive in Tulsa, Oklahoma, or if I arrive in Tampa, Florida, or I arrive in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. What would I do if you just boom? I'll show up that first day. What am I going to do? Well, there's a couple different things you want to do at first. Number one is you got to get some people on your team, right? You got to get a good closing agent. Now, a closing agent is someone's going to close your transactions for you. It's going to do that assignment agreement. It's going to do that double escrow. It's going to do that wrap agreement that we'll talk about here shortly. Those type of agreements. And you want someone that's experienced, someone that has at least 10 years of experience, someone that knows what the heck they're doing. And I talk to new people, they go, well, I talked to an escrow agent and they don't know what I'm talking about. Well, guess what? That's not your guy. Find another one. It's just like, you got to go out and search for it. You got to dig for it. You got to find someone. It's like interviewing someone. If you go out and interview someone that doesn't know what the heck they're talking about, well, guess what? That's not the guy. You got to find someone else. You got to be a little bit persistent in this business. So how would I find that escrow? Well, I locate the local real estate investment club. That's the first place I go because there are experienced real estate investors there, and they have other wholesalers there, other fix and flip guys, other buy and hold guys that are looking for buy and hold properties or fix and flip properties. Those are your investors that you're going to sell to. And they have relationships with good escrow officers that know how to close transactions. So that's what I do. I would turn around and I would talk to someone. I would Google the local real estate investment club for that particular area. And I would then turn around and talk to the president or talk to someone there that could give a recommendation of a good escrow officer, a good title person that could close transactions. And maybe they'll give me 1 or 2 or 3 recommendations, whatever, but I'd start interviewing them. What would I ask them? Well, I'd ask them if they could do a double escrow. I'd ask them if they could do a simultaneous close. It's another word for double escrow. I'd ask them if they could do assignment agreements. I'd ask them if they could do a wrap transaction. I'd also ask them if they could do maybe notes and deeds of trust, or servicing. So those are the things I'd ask them to see if they could do. And if they could do those, if they knew what the heck I was talking about, then I'd give them a shot. If I gave them the thing, these kind of list of criteria of what I'm looking for, and they didn't know what those things were, then I wouldn't. Now, let me back up. I'd ask them to do a double escrow. Okay, that's where we just talked about simultaneous close. That's a back-to-back closing. I'd ask them if they could do an assignment. Okay, I talked about a couple other things there. It might have gone over your head, or I may have said it too fast, so I apologize. The next thing I do is I would ask to see if they could do a wrap. Now, a wrap is where you can leave an existing loan in place. Let's say theoretically you have a house. The seller owes 90. The house is worth 100. How do you structure that deal? Well, you can leave that existing loan of $90,000 in place, right, by wrapping that loan. And it's pretty much doing an exact wrap of the existing loan. Well, a title company knows exactly how to do that. You don't have to prepare the paperwork. The title company will prepare it for you. So what you do is you wrap that loan for, say, a term of 5 years. And that's what a wrap is. And we'll get into that. And that's a strategy of selling properties with existing financing that don't have a lot of equity in place. Okay, so I'd ask them if they could do that, and if they said yes, great. Now I also asked them if they have a servicing company, because what happens is when you wrap an existing loan, there's going to be payments to be made, payments to the bank, right? And so what happens is I would want to have a title company that could collect payments from a buyer and then pay the seller's bank that $90,000 loan. I would want to have them be able to do that. Okay, so that's servicing. So I'd ask them if they could do servicing. So that's what I do first initially, is I would find that title person. That is a key element. That is that is the number one thing I would do if I dropped me in the market today. It's the first research I do. I would Google the local real estate investment club, and I talk to whenever they had the next meeting, and I wouldn't wait for that, but I would talk to anybody there. Next thing I do is I couldn't do that, as I would Google other wholesalers in the marketplace. I would Google, say, so like Pittsburgh wholesale properties for sale or whatever. And there's going to be other people marketing properties or have websites up for wholesalers. Well, some of those wholesalers have good closing agents. So I may just call them up and say, hey, I'm new in here. Do you know a good closing agent? Sometimes they'll tell you, and sometimes they won't. A lot of other wholesalers are very protective about their what they do and how they do it, and who their their team is. But some people, like if you called me, I'd tell you who my closing agent is, because I don't really care. There's a scarcity mentality, and then there's an abundant mentality. So if I get to share it, guess what? My closing agent gets more business, and it just she stays in business, and everything works fine. So you can do that. You can Google local wholesaler by typing in your city wholesale properties for sale, and you can find other wholesalers that are looking to sell properties, and they might have a good contact for you that you could talk to. Okay, so that's number one. That's the first thing I do. I'd find a good closing agent. Number two is I'd find a good realtor. Where would I find the realtor? Well, guess what? Local real estate investment club. Or I just Google. I Google city and local, top, realtor or whatever. And I start calling around. Now, what am I looking for in a realtor? I'm looking for someone who is fairly new. Someone who's new in the business. I'm not looking for some experienced guy that has all their stuff down. I'm looking for someone who's hungry, someone who's just getting started, and someone who's looking for leads. Okay? That's who I'm looking for. I want someone that is literally green behind the ears, wet behind the ears, whatever, and he wants to get up and going. So that's what I'm looking for. And why am I looking for someone like that? Because, like I said, he's looking for leads. He's hungry. He wants to get up and going. I don't want someone that's all experienced, have their business already established. So what I'm going to do with that new person, right, I'm going to say, hey, listen, I'm going to be marketing for a bunch of sellers. I'm going to be cranking out, and I'm going to be marketing for sellers. Well, guess what? Some of the sellers are going to want to sell, at a lower price, at a price that's going to make sense for me. And some of the sellers aren't going to want to sell at all at the price that I'm going to offer. So guess what? They're still sellers. I can refer them on to you, Mr. Realtor, and then you can turn around and you can list them and potentially get the commission on that. In return, what I need is good comparable sales, right? And also I need is a list of all the cash transactions that have happened in the marketplace. A list of all the cash transactions. Now, inside the MLS, even your title company can potentially pull this for you, is you're looking for all the cash transactions that have happened within the county. And what they can do is they can go inside the MLS and they can pull, check a little box that pulls all the cash transactions for the last 120 days. And it will give you all the transactions. You can actually, sometimes in some MLSs, you can download it in a CVS format, or you can just look at a map and you'll see little pockets of high cash transaction areas. Well, guess what? Those are the pockets that you want to market to. Those zip codes are where you want to send mailers to. Those are zip codes, and so you're going to get a good understanding. Now, what I do is I typically get a list, an Excel format, and I'll do a sort. And I'm going to do a sort by price, and I'm going to do a sort by zip code. I'm going to see if there's an abundant amount of zip codes or a large amount of transactions happening in a specific zip code. And also, too, I'm going to get a good understanding of where the price of most of the cash transactions are happening. Now, some areas, here in Phoenix, actually in California, but here in Phoenix, where I do bulk of my business there, most of the cash transactions are happening under like the $75,000 mark. Most of the cash transactions are happening there. When it comes to something like here, Southern California, most of the cash transactions are probably happening in the $600,000 to $800,000 range. I would suspect. Haven't looked yet, but that's what I do. So that would be a good indicator of where most of the cash transactions are happening. So what I do is I find a realtor, I build a relationship with them, I'd have them pull all the cash transactions, and I'd start referring them sellers that want to sell but aren't motivated enough for me. Those are called non-motivated sellers because they want a higher price or a structure that I cannot make work. Okay? Now, and I can tell you right now, there's going to be a majority of that is going to be the case. So now you're going to build that relationship. That's number two thing I do. Okay? So number one, I'd find a good closing agent. Number two is find a good realtor. I pull all that data. All right? Now, I'm ready to start marketing. Now I'm ready to, now, let's say I fly to your city, right? That's all going to be done within the first 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to find a closing agent, and I'm going to find a good realtor. That's all done within 24, 48 hours. That's it. Boom. Done. Then I'm going to set up a Google AdWords campaign, okay? Now, let's talk about marketing for sellers. So that's how you establish your business first, right? Then you're going to set up a marketing campaign, okay? Now, we're going to market for buyers, and we're going to market for sellers. When it comes to marketing for buyers, there are 3 ways to market for buyers. Number 1 is online advertising. Paid is the fastest and easiest, paid online advertising. Number 2 is direct mail. And number 3 is bandit signs. Those are the 3 fastest and easiest ways to get your phone ringing with motivated sellers. Okay? 3 ways. Now, we're going to be marketing for buyers, or are we marketing for sellers? We'll get into marketing for buyers here in a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a Google AdWords campaign and a Yahoo and a Bing campaign. And those are what's called pay-per-click. That's where you pay-per-click. That's where your ad can show up inside Google. Now, I'm only going to target the specific area. I'm not going to target, obviously, the entire United States, because I don't care if I'm in Pittsburgh, per se. I don't care if there's people that are searching to sell their house in California, because that's not going to be my particular market. I'm going to only specifically target that market that I'm in. So, if you look in, if your computer doesn't have that particular IP address, for that county that you're targeting, the ad will not show at all. So, all right. So now I'm going to set up a pay-per-click campaign, pay-per-click, with Google. And basically what happens is this, is that when someone searches sell house fast, your ad will show, okay? They're going to click on that ad, and they're going to go to a landing page, which is a squeeze page. And on the squeeze page, it's going to give them only one option, and that is to fill in their name and information to get a cash offer, okay? And we're going to give them incentive to do that, and we're going to give them a quick book on how to sell your house fast for top dollar. So think about this. You search Google, you hit a page, you're going to land on a landing page. That landing page is going to basically say, hey, listen, if you want a cash offer, fill out your information. And they're going to go in, they're going to put their name, they're going to put their telephone number, they're going to put their email address, they're going to put their property address, of course, their loan amount of what they owe, and the property square footage. That's what I'm looking for. Now, I'm looking for property square footage because sometimes in the tax record, they'll have a property square footage of, say, 900 square feet, right? But the actual square footage might be 1,800 square feet. Well, if I didn't ask for property square footage, I might have comped it incorrectly and passed on that particular deal. So that's why I asked for property square footage. Okay? So now they're going to click send, and I'm going to get an instant email. It's going to come to my iPhone, or come to my inbox, whatever you're using, and that's going to be a lead that's going to be generated. So what am I going to do? I'm going to set up a pay-per-click campaign, right? And also I'm going to set up with Google, and I'm going to set up with Bing, because Bing and Yahoo actually combined, and that's going to show your ad on both Yahoo Search Network and also Bing Network as well. So I'm going to do that. First thing I'm going to do. What that's going to do is it's going to run a campaign automatically, and I'm going to get leads on autopilot coming in. Now, that's leads I can't control. Those are just extra. I look at those as just extra deals that come in. I can't control them. Because I can't control how many searches a month. I can't control how many people are going to fill out the form. I can just be there when they actually fill out the information. Okay? So that's number 1. All right? Number 2 is then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to do a direct mail campaign. Well, where am I going to do a direct mail campaign to? Well, I'm going to do a direct mail campaign to those high cash transaction areas. Okay, I'm going to target those areas, and I'm going to pull every absentee owner. That's an investor that is actually out of state. That's someone who owns a property in that specific area but lives out of state. You can get that list from listsource.com. And that's all the absentee investors in that particular zip code. Okay? And I am going to send them what's called a yellow letter. A yellow letter is a handwritten letter. It gets a 12 to 15% response rate. And it's phenomenal. Get your phone melting. If you send out 1,000 letters, you're going to get over 100 plus calls of motivated sellers. Now, not every one of them is going to be a deal. So we're going to talk about how to sort and separate here in a few. But the bottom line is this, is that that's what I would do going to your particular city. I would pull all the cash transaction areas. I get a list from ListSource of all the absentee investors, and I'd mail at least anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 letters, whatever I could pull. Right? That's number one. Number two is I would call Lance at US Leads List. USLeadsList.com. Talk to Lance. Tell him Sean Terry sent you. And I would pull what's called the inheritance list for that particular county, and I buy the entire list. Okay, it's a gold mine. That's where someone actually inherited a property, and now most of them have a ton of equity, and people just want to get rid of them because there's no. It's like found money to these people. So now I'm going to send out in my first month anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 letters. Okay. Now, my phone is going to melt. Melt. Now, some of you guys are going, hey, I sent out 200 letters, and I'm not rich yet. Guess what? You know? I talk about, digging for gold, right? You can dig with gold with a spoon, right? Someone comes out, I'm going to send out 200 letters, and they go out and dig with a spoon, right? You're digging for gold now. Let's say if you knew gold was out there, right? You could dig with a spoon if you wanted, and you're out there going, okay, I want to go out and make money, I'm going to dig with a spoon. Or that's the next guy. That's the first guy digging with a spoon. I'm going to send out 200 letters. The next guy is going to go out. Well, I'm going to send out 500 or 1,000 letters, and that guy's going to dig with a shovel. Now, he's going to move some dirt, right? That guy's going to move some dirt. He's going to go out and he's going to possibly get results. He's going to get calls that are going to come in. Maybe he's going to get a motivated seller, and he might find gold. And then there's me, and I come out with a backhoe. I'm going to come out with a backhoe, an earth mover, and I am going to do whatever I can do to move as much earth as possible because the opportunity is now. The gold isn't going to be there forever. And guess what? The more you dig, the more gold you can get, the more money you can make. That's the bottom line. So you got to pick what you want to be. Do you want to dig with a spoon? Do you want to dig with a shovel? Do you want to dig with a backhoe? So what does that relate to? It relates to this. The more letters you send, the more bandit signs you put out, which we'll get into in a sec, it's the more dirt you're digging because you're going to go through dirt. Now, what is dirt? Dirt is a non-motivated seller. Gold is a motivated seller. Got it? Simple as that. It's this business is really not that difficult. It's just getting the phone to ring by doing massive action and then determining if it's gold or dirt. That's it. So what I would do is I would go out and I'd send out 3,000 to 5,000 letters right off the start. I'd send out the inheritance list. I'd get as many absentee investors as I possibly could in those particular zip codes, and I'd mail every single one of them. I'd send them a letter. Now, my phone's going to melt, right? My phone is going to melt off the hook. Now, I have an assistant that answers the phone for me here. But what if I was in your city and I didn't have that? Well, guess what? I would have to do it myself. I'd have to answer the phone myself. So I'd be on the phone. I'd be talking to sellers. Now, what am I doing talking to sellers? I am basically sorting motivated sellers versus non-motivated sellers. I'm basically sorting from back and forth. Who's motivated and who's not. That's all I'm doing on the phone. So let me back up before I get into that. Okay? Now, the other thing I do is I would set up a Google AdWords campaign, right, for buyers. I would set up the same thing. I would set up a Google AdWords campaign for sellers, and I'd set up a Google AdWords campaign for buyers. It's a typical squeeze page. That all it does is that someone goes on the page and it says, Philadelphia or Pittsburgh wholesale properties for 20 to 40% below market, and they literally enter their email address in there, and that's it. So I would capture their information. They will go on my buyers list. That's number one. Number two is I would go down to the county courthouse where they hold all the auctions, and I would network for an entire week or plus down there with all the cash buyers. Okay? Now here I'm talking about marketing for buyers, because we're marketing for sellers. right? I'm kind of in the midst of that we're talking about, but also I'm marketing for buyers too. This is one of the first things I do. Is set up those campaigns, and I'd also be going down while I'm waiting for my mail drop to hit, is I'm going down to the county courthouse and I'm talking to buyers. These guys are buyers that can pay cash on the dime. They can close in 24 hours cash, and that's the exact guy that you want to market to, talk to. You build a relationship. I'd be putting them all on my phone as cash buyers. I find out exactly what they want, what they're looking for, and I'd talk to as many people as I could, and I'd network as many people as I could, because those would be the first guys I'm going to call as soon as they get a property under contract. Okay? So I do that while I am basically setting up my mailing and my Google AdWords campaigns. Okay? Simultaneously. All right, so now back to it. Okay, so now I've got my phone's ringing off the hook. So what am I doing with this? I am basically now, I am sorting. I'm going, who's dirt and who's gold? So how do you determine if someone's dirt or gold? By the motivation level, their story, what's their situation. Now, if someone has a rental property that's vacant, it's been trashed by the tenant, they just moved out, and you have an out-of-stater who owns the property and he just wants to get rid of it, boom, that's a motivated seller, right? Now, also price takes, he might want full price. Well, guess what? Maybe he's not as motivated. Maybe he just needs to get an understanding. Maybe he needs to get pictures of his property to see how bad a condition it is. I don't know. You know, but what you're doing is you're looking for that story. So when I'm talking to a motivated seller, I'm talking to him, I'm saying, hey, what's your situation? What's going on? What's happening? What's your story? And people will tell you. And they'll go, oh my gosh, I just got a divorce, and my husband left me, and the house is a mess, and I don't know what to do, and I need to get some money quick, and I just don't want to put it on the market, because I don't want to clean it up, and yada yada yada. They'll just give you this, a story. I've been on the phone for a half hour to 45 minutes, not saying a word, just listening to someone's story. You know what the amazing thing is? When we're done, they're going, oh my gosh, I feel like I know you. I've said 2 sentences. All I said was, hey, how's it going? What's your story? That's it. Because I listened to them and I let them talk, it almost, they felt like they knew me. It's amazing how that one technique, by just listening to what people want, allows you to build a rapport with them on a deeper level. Okay? So now, and also relating with them. So now, the calls are coming in. I'm sorting between motivated and non-motivated. Now, motivated sellers are going to basically break down into 3 different categories. You're going to have a motivated seller with a bunch of equity, you're going to have a motivated seller with minimal equity, and you're going to have a motivated seller with no equity. You can structure deals for each one of those. Ones with high equity, you want to get the property at 70%, less repairs, less profits. That's the formula. Okay? So what you do is you have a property that's $100,000. Times 70% is $70,000. Less repairs. Let's call repairs $10,000. Boom, now you got $10,000 repairs. Now you're down to $60,000. Less profit, you want to make $10,000. Now you're down to $50,000. That'd be a high equity. So the first thing I do when someone calls me up and says, I got a property, I'm going to find out if that meets the wholesale criteria, right? And I'm going to be making my offers in the low 50s to 60s, because that's where I need to be to make the deal work. Now, what if they come back and say, no, I don't want to get into negotiation. That could be I have episodes you can listen to about negotiation, how to determine that and stuff, but right now I just want to get you out and get a check as fast as possible. Just starting out fresh in your city. So now, what you're doing, you're separating. Okay, so now you got deals with high equity. That's how you do. How do you determine repairs? Simple. You take the square footage of the property and you multiply it times 8 to $10 a foot. So if you got a 2,000 square foot property, $8 a foot, you're talking $16,000 of repairs. Now, you go $8 a foot if the property is in okay, if it just needs updating, I guess you could say. The higher the price per square foot, the worse off the property is. If the property's trashed, you might have to go $10 or $12 a foot. The property's, it just needs dating and stuff, then just use $8 a foot. Okay? So that's how you kind of figure out what the repairs are. So you take 70% less repairs, less your profit, don't forget your profit, and that is where you need to be. to be able to be. That's going to be your initial price. So when you're going in and you're talking to a seller, you know exactly where you need to be on the wholesale basis. Okay? That's a property with a lot of equity. Then there's a property where there's minimal equity. House is worth $100,000, they owe $80,000. What do you do? Okay? House is worth $100,000, they owe $80,000. What do you do? Well, you say, hey, listen, what we can do is I can give you maybe $3,000. We're going to keep your existing loan in place for $80,000 for the term of 5 years. And then you can package that up. Because remember what we talked about. You're signing a contract. You're agreeing to keep the loan in place for 5 years, right, the $80,000, and you're going to wrap the existing loan. And then what you're going to do is you're going to give them $3,000, right? And that's it. You have a contract. Now, how do you make money on that deal? And who are you going to sell it to? Well, first off, you can sell it to a retail buyer who wants to move in the property that can't get bank financing. Or you can sell it to a cash flow investor if the property cash flows. If the monthly payments on that particular mortgage are lower than the current rents in the area. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to figure out what the payment is on that loan. So let's say $80,000 loan, let's say the payments are $600. Let's say all the rental market's going for $700, $750. That would make it where it would work. Where then you could turn around and you could sell the property to a cash flow investor. They'll look for the $100 and $200 a month cash flow. Okay? Now, how do you make money on it? Let's talk about how you make money on this thing. You got a contract with a seller for $80,000 plus $3,000 cash to the seller. That's what you agreed on. And you got 30, 45 days to close. Then you turn around and find the buyer. The buyer's going to put down $14,000. They're going to put down $14,000 and take over that $80,000 loan. Now, what happens to that $14,000? $3,000 goes to the seller, $1,000 goes to closing costs, and $10,000 goes to you. Okay? Now, that is, you should go to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/flip2freedom. There's stories on there, and actually look for the one with Brian. He actually made money on a no equity deal. He made $10,000 on a no equity deal. The house was worth $60,000, and I think they owed $62,000 or whatever, and he still made money on the deal. That's exactly how he did it. He contracted with a buyer. Contracted with a seller for a price, contracted with a buyer for a price, and made the spread. So on our particular scenario, guess what's going to happen? You're going to make the $10,000. $3,000 is going to go to the seller. The buyer's going to bring in the money. How much money do you bring in? Nothing. Right? So he gets the $10,000 goes to you, and $1,000 goes to the title company for the closing costs. Okay? You can do that all day long. How many deals do you know that come in where they just have a little bit of equity? Boom, baby. That's what I'm talking about. You can make money off that. Now, let's talk about deals that have no equity. House is worth $100 and they owe $98 or they owe $100. What do? You can still make money off that deal. Would you believe it? You say, hey, listen, Mr. Seller, listen, if you're going to sell in the open market, guess what? You'd have to come in with the cash with closing with about $10,000 to $15,000 to pay realtor commissions, closing costs, and fees, and any type of fix-up needed on the property. Well, guess what, Mr. Seller? I'm not going to give you're not going to have to come into closing with cash with me. What's going to happen is that I'm going to give you $1,000 cash. We're going to keep your loan in place for, say, 7 years, 5 years, whatever. Your $100,000 loan in place, and that's it. And you're going to be debt relief. Guess what? You don't have to deal with your payments anymore. Now, one thing you got to do is you got to make sure those payments aren't astronomical. They're in line with rents. Okay? You got to make sure those payments are in line with rents. If everything's in the market's renting for $1,200 and the payments are $1,200 or less, you're good to go. You got to make sure it's a good loan, a 30-year fixed loan. Make sure it's not an option arm or a reverse mortgage or anything like that. So now that's what you're looking for. Okay? So now you put that together and you have now a contract with a seller. Agreed to keep the $100,000 in place for 5 years and give them $1,000. That's it. The same Staples contract or whatever. Then you find a buyer. Now, why the heck would a buyer come in and want to put down money on this deal? Because they can't get bank financing. They want to be able to buy a house. It's going to be structured on agreement for sale or a land contract or whatever, but the title company will set that up. So now, What you're going to do now is you're going to find the buyer for $12,000 down. $11,000 goes to the seller, $10,000 goes to you, and $1,000 goes for closing costs. Now, the seller, they're not going to have to go through an appraisal. They're not going to have to go through a credit check or any of that type of stuff. You do a background check on them, make sure they're good, right? Make sure they can afford payments, and you do an employment check on them. But you're not going to go do a whole check that banks go through. You're not going to ask for like 3 months bank statements or tax returns or any of that type of stuff. So the qualification's a lot easier, and they're going to be able to get in the house. Now, what if the person wouldn't qualify for a bank loan because their credit score is a 540 or a 560 or a 600? Who knows? Right? Now, I know. You're probably going, well, what if the guy defaults? Well, the way the agreement for sale is structured is if they default, they can be out in 45 days or less by sending a default letter. The title company that's servicing the loan will send a default letter for it. And that's what will happen. They'll send a default letter. And it's almost like an eviction. They'll be out of the property. So that is a way to do it with no equity. So now, how do you find these particular buyers? Well, on the first one, on the high cash transaction deals, what you're going to do is that you're going to market to those cash buyers. You're going to remember, you got your PPC, a pay-per-click campaign on Google, and you're looking for cash buyers. You're going to be going down the county courthouse steps. You're looking for cash buyers, and they're going to buy your high equity deals, and they're going to scoop them up and scoop them up fast. Now, what about cash flow deals? Well, then you would send that out to your email list, or you'd market it on Craigslist. Okay? That's what you do there. Number 3 is you're looking for the retail buyer. How do you market the retail properties? You market them on Craigslist, and you put bandit signs around the property offering seller financing. And you're going to have people flooding your phone looking for properties because buyers typically drive around neighborhoods that they want to be in looking for houses. Well, guess what? You have a house for sale, right, for $13,000, $14,000 down. Seller financing, no qual, or minimal qualification. They'll be calling you. Your phone will melt off the hook, and you'll find a buyer that way. Okay, so that's how you exit the property for the buyers, and literally by sending an email out to your cash buyers or calling up your cash buyers for the high equity deals, or using Craigslist and bandit signs. Now, that's our direct mail. The third thing is putting bandit signs out. We talked about that. You want to put bandit signs out in all the high cash transaction areas. That's where you want to be. And those bandit signs can be put up by yourself, or you can hire someone to do it for you for about $2 or $3 a sign, depending on your city. Okay, so that is what you want to do. That's how you're going to get the phone to ring off the hook. I would put up anywhere from 50 to 100 signs a weekend. You put them up on Friday evening or early Saturday morning, and you take them down on Sunday. Okay, so you don't get in trouble by sign patrol. But what you're going to do is your phone's going to ring off the hook for those too. And those you get some great deals as well. So now I'm going into your city, right? And I'm going to set up a pay-per-click campaign. I'm going to have my direct mail, 3,000 to 5,000 units going out, mail pieces, and I'm going to have bandit signs going out. My phone is going to blow up. I'm going to have calls left and right, and I would. And all I'm doing is looking for the motivated seller. Now, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be cranking. I'm going to be sorting through. I'm going to be looking. I'm going to be talking to people all day long. And all I'm going to be doing is talking to people, figuring out who's motivated, who's not. And I'm going to be going on appointments, or I'm going to be making offers on the phone, over the phone, figuring out who's motivated and who's not. And I'm going to be doing deals. Now, I'm going to get probably out of that 10 to 15 properties signed and lined up and ready to go, and maybe sell 10 of them. And I average, say, $5,000 per property. It's $50,000 in a month by doing that type of marketing. Now, that's what I would do if I went to your city right now. Now, what do you do if you're just getting started? You're working around a job and you've got the 9 to 5 thing going on? Well, just do a portion of that. You get the big picture. Still set up a pay-per-click campaign. You can still put signs out on the weekend. Instead of putting 3,000 to 5,000 letters out, put 500 to 1,000 letters out. Your phone will be ringing, you'll get calls coming in, and you'll get over that learning curve of learning who's motivated and who's not, and learn about structuring deals. Now, I got 50-something other episodes you can listen to that talks about how to negotiate and how to structure deals, talks about seller financing, the whole shebang. So you can learn that for free, or just get my book at flip2freedom.com. Flip2freedom.com. Now, that's what I do in your city right now to go out and make money fast. That's what I suggest you to do. People come to me and go, hey, listen, how do I get started? As quick as possible. Massive action, baby. Gotta crank it out. You gotta crank it out. What's cranking it out? Setting up your campaigns, setting out letters, talking to buyers, and making stuff happen. Just pushing it, making stuff happen. And guess what? You'll be out of your job in no time. I mean, you'll be done and then building your retirement portfolio in no time. Now, I just want to talk about real quick, and I'm done with that. Real quick about freedom, because this is the deal. You know what? Money is great. Money's great. But there's freedom. Because what if you could just make what you're making now, 50 or 100,000, 200,000, whatever you're making now, but be able to do whatever you want when you want to do it? That's freedom, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Because it's priceless. You would not believe what I'm looking at right now. Catalina, ocean pouring in, $20 million houses. Now, I don't own a $20 million house, but it's just being surrounded. It's just unbelievable. Guess what? Real estate will give you the ability to own a $20 million house if you want to. Me personally, I don't want to work that hard. Could if I wanted, but I don't know, man. But I get to go out and spend time with my family, do the things I want to do. Yesterday, we were all day at Disneyland. I had a blast. It was so much fun with friends that came out. And today, just hanging out by the beach. Now, the amazing thing is that you cannot put a price tag on freedom. That's what you guys, I'm telling you, this is what you want to get your desire, that burning desire. Because in the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about the number one thing that you have to have. The number one thing is a burning desire. You got to have a burning desire, because guess what? If you don't have a burning desire, you're going to take some phone calls. You might get some sellers, you might not, and then you might quit, or it might not go exactly as you expected, and you might want to quit. You might get a deal like Brian's first deal blew up. He was days before closing. The guy I talked about on the YouTube channel who flipped the property with no equity on his second deal. His first deal blew up. He was days before closing to make $8,000, and the seller decided not to sell. Well, guess what? That might happen to you. You might quit. But if you have that burning desire inside you, if you have that inside you, then guess what's going to happen? Is you are going to blow through obstacles like it's nothing. You're going to blow through those obstacles, and you're going to be focusing on the big picture. Because if you can see yourself living the lifestyle, your ultimate lifestyle that you want to have, then guess what? You'll do anything to get it. You'll do anything to go out and make it happen. And that's what it's all about, is having that burning desire to go out and do whatever you want to do. Now, how do you, and I think I've talked about in the last episode, how do you create that burning desire? You think about it. You obsess about it. You obsess about it. You think about it constantly. In the morning, in the night, you think about it. You write it down. You just obsess over it until you want it so bad that you're going to have it. And guess what? You will. And that's what I want to leave you in this particular episode. Because, man, I want you to have it. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to be able to go out and do what you want to do when you want to do it. It's just an absolutely gorgeous day. And I'm so happy I got to share it with you. And I'm only 40 years old. I'm not retired because I want to retire because I love what I do. I love flipping houses, man. I love flipping houses. Love talking to you guys. Love helping people. Love it. It's a blast. But I can tell you this. I have interacted and talked to a lot of people. Some people take the information and they apply it and they go forth and they get results and they get your checks and they're moving forward on their quest for whatever they want, freedom. Then there's some people that get started and they fizzle out and I don't hear from them again. I don't know what it is. But something happens. And you know what? I don't want that to be you. Because opportunities are never lost. They just go to somebody else. And I don't want your opportunity right now in the marketplace we're in right now, at the best time to be in real estate, I don't want your opportunity to go to somebody else. So step up, make a decision, get committed to your dream and your goal, and put forth the effort. And if any obstacle gets in the way, blow through it, because you're better than that. I know you can make it happen. Until next time, I wish you ultimate success in your real estate investing career, because you know what? Now is the time. If you want more of me, go to flip2freedom.com, flip2freedom.com. Go to the website, you'll see a video of me, and get my book, 19 Weeks to Freedom, Quit Your Job in 19 Weeks or Less. You can download that, and I'd love to hear your comments and what you have to say. And like I said, until next week, I wish you ultimate success, because today is a beautiful day, and I wish you were here with me here, walking down the beach, viewing and seeing what I am seeing today. So thank you very much for listening. Have a great week, and God bless.